Hello and welcome to Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
You know, our review of This Is Why, the new Paramore record, is actually my favorite video we've done. Mm-hmm. I think it's the review I'm most proud of. And so I'm really excited to dig into the 2013 self-titled album. We teased this at the end of that video. Mm-hmm. We said, maybe we should go back on the 10-year anniversary.
10 years, yeah.
Do kind of a deep dive back into it. And,
on an album that I had never really heard.
That's true, yeah. Because I had started to listen to that in the lead up to This Is Why. I was like, man, I'm really getting into this self-titled one from 2013. Mm-hmm. And now you've heard it.
A few times, yeah.
What do you think?
I really like a lot of what's going on here. There's stuff in here that I just did not expect, I'll say.
It's eclectic. Yeah, you could almost fault it for sounding like a mixtape.
Right.
It's this new start for the band, and it almost sounds like we could go down this route. We could go down this avenue. We could sound like this. Well, let's just put it all in there.
Yeah, it's quite a long and eclectic album, as you said. And yeah, it's just I'm not really into After Laughter. I've tried that a couple times. I've not listened to all of their earlier stuff, so I'm kind of cherry picking this out. But I do see a lot of connection between this album and This Is Why.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is it's the self-titled record is when the main songwriting started to switch to Taylor York.
Yeah.
And I think he's an amazing songwriter. I think him, Zach, and Haley made such an amazing record with This Is Why, but you see the beginnings of it here.
Yeah. You see the beginnings of a certain kind of maturity. Mm-hmm. And, you look into some of the background on the making of this record and they say, they were pushed.
Yeah.
Which is always something I appreciate when bands work with a producer that kind of says I'm going to push you. I'm not going to let you just do what's easy or expected. And they did actually work with Rob Cavallo a bit here.
Yeah. They had Cavallo come in and advise.
Yeah. Just casually, the great, a modern rock opera producer.
Yeah, I think that was a great move.
Yeah.
They had a lot of help. A lot of people came in to provide guidance and production, and I think they just made a lot of really good decisions to get this record made. The first good decision was to keep going.
Right.
Because let's get into the juicy gossip for a minute.
Yeah, a little bit.
Let's dive into the context here. If you don't know, this band had made 3 records that kind of sounded all in line with each other. Mm-hmm. It was that very pop punk, big attitude, anthem-y sound. Mm-hmm. And then the main songwriter, Josh Farro, and his brother Zach, the drummer, left the band, posted a big, long blog post ranting against Haley.
Not both of them, just one of them.
Just Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, guy seems like a piece of work.
Yeah.
And, now, of course, Zach has returned. All is good. Josh, never in the picture again. Get him out of here. Goodbye. But you've lost your main songwriter.
Yeah.
How do you decide to, let's keep going. Let's start anew. Let's be Paramore still.
It's always interesting when this happens. This happened to No Doubt when Eric Stefani left.
Right.
Between Tragic Kingdom. Well, before Tragic Kingdom, but he had a hand in all the songs. And then you got Return of Saturn without him, which is a cool and interesting, but very, again, eclectic and sort of unfocused album.
Yeah, it tends to happen.
Yeah.
It's the following project is usually trying to find the sound.
Yeah.
But I think what Paramore did find is we can really write hard-hitting, effective pop songs in many different genres.
Yeah, not necessarily pop punk, just pop.
Just pop or just rock.
Yeah, rock.
We start with Fast in My Car, which I love. I think it's just infectious right off the bat, and the simple riff. This really simple riff. You come into the studio, hey guys, how about something that goes like this? Do 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 do.
Yeah.
It's okay, but it rules.
This is like one of the better opening songs I've heard in like a while.
Which leads us to smart decision number 2. Who begins the record? It's Elon Rubin coming in on drums.
Okay.
So now
this whole thing.
You've lost your drummer. Forget about the main songwriter. You've also lost the backbone of the band.
Yeah, a lot of the drummer sets a lot of the groove and the tone. And without a good drummer that you click with, you're not going to have a good cohesive band.
We've experienced that.
Oh, yeah.
It's part of the reason we use drum machines now. It can be very difficult, but they were in a position where, they've had some success and they could bring in kind of a heavy hitter. A heavy hitter in a lot of senses, because Elon Rubin is a heavy hitter. He uses steel drums.
Okay.
They're not wooden. They're made of steel.
But not like the ones in
No, not like
Jamaica.
Yeah. But they are loud. They're powerful, and he hits these things hard.
Okay.
And if you don't know, Elon Rubin is this guy with like Weird Al hair who hits things really hard for 9 Inch Nails, Angels and Airwaves, his own band, which I think is called The New Regime. But he's been involved in a lot of projects from a very young age. He joined 9 Inch Nails when he was like 20, I think.
Jeez, yeah.
And to bring him in to just add this oomph to the record and some really great hard-hitting drum parts, brilliant move. And we get that right away with Fast in My Car. Just a good punchy drum sound.
Yeah, Fast in My Car is just like a really, really good song. It grows on me every time I hear it.
Yeah. There's like, there's like lyrics that like,
oh yeah,
we just want to have fun. Like these kind of, we're going to have fun tonight type lyrics that like I have a hard time connecting with because they've just been done to death.
Right.
But I think her lyric writing is really strong throughout this record. And so to nitpick little lines like that isn't, who cares?
I feel the same way too. There's like definitely writing throughout this record that isn't the greatest lyric writing in the world. Like, sure, fine, whatever. It doesn't have to be. But like things that I might normally be like, But also she's coming into her own as this new kind of a songwriter.
She's going through a lot in her life. We don't get into like too much personal stuff on this channel, but I understand there was some nasty drama stuff happening with her like new husband, which was a guy from Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about it, but yeah, there's like a lot of turmoil going on. You're basically starting your band from scratch. I'm impressed with the songwriting here.
Yeah, it's like you listen to the lyrics and there's like a lot of songs sort of that are like, I'm Still Into You obviously is a good love song. It's a really nice.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. And lyrically, it's very positive. But, the more you go through this record, you pull out little phrases that you're like,
Yeah, like,
they're
here and
like
there.
In Proof, for sure. Where the whole song is about like, I shouldn't distrust you, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe if that gut feeling's that strong, something's up.
Go with your gut, Haley.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Now.
Yeah.
So that song really grew on me. When I first was getting into this record and I learned that had been the lead single, I was like, why was that the lead single? That's kind of a weak single. And now it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's not my favorite chorus, I'll say.
Yeah.
And it does get very repetitive at the end. Like they're repeating, which is another thing that happens a lot in this album where there's things that get repeated maybe a little too much sometimes. But I think they were trying to like, think like, well, where else can we take this? Yeah,
they're crafting strong hooks and a lot of different styles. And I agree, she can sometimes have the tendency to, the chorus is just this like 2 lines repeated.
Yeah.
Multiple, which, I mean, if you're a songwriter, it can be hard to steer yourself away from that.
Yeah, like I was listening to this album and I thought that, and then I was like, wait, how many songs have I written that are like that? So now I try not to.
Yeah, you really have to make a conscious choice to not do that.
It's a very natural thing to do, because then it's like you find the right phrase. You're like, this is it. This is the heart of the song. So you want to say it a lot.
You want to like hammer it in.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what sold me on this song was actually a single live performance on YouTube. Maybe I'll link it in the description. There's like 3 songs from Pink Pop Festival 2014, I think. It sounds incredible. It's not the best quality video, but there's this big reverb behind her vocal, and she just goes all in on this build up to the last chorus, and it just hit so good that I was like, I love this song now.
Yeah, it grew on me too. I think most of the songs on this album did. There were some I liked right away and some I wasn't, or kind of forgettable or whatever. And yeah, like 3 times into this album, I'm way more pulled in general.
You know, I haven't really gone back to those early 3. I just know they're not really my style at this point in my life. You know, and now I'm like 33. I can kind of tap back into that, you know, sound I liked as a teen with certain projects. It kind of is a case by case basis, I'd say. But I wasn't a Paramore fan back then. I did not listen to them. I maybe knew Misery Business. So it's hard to go back and listen to those records and like connect really.
Well, I know for me, you know, I hadn't like listened to the early stuff besides the singles, and I listened to Riot and I thought, gosh, the guitar sound is just exactly the same.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it, because I think that's really what Taylor York starts to bring to the table here.
Yeah.
It's not only strong songwriting, but like, let's push it. Let's use different stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, even going into After Laughter and This Is Why, like, yeah, maybe there's a marimba sound instead of the same guitar tone over and over every song.
Yeah.
Or it's an acoustic ballad. That's the only 2 options.
Yeah.
You know, now you get a lot of different sounds on self-titled. You know, let's talk about Ain't It Fun. The first thing you hear isn't even guitar, and the guitar slowly kind of fades in under that main, what is it? Is it a xylophone? I can't really pick it out.
Yeah.
Wait, what is doing that main riff in Ain't It Fun? But it just goes to show that they're coming at it differently, and I think that's a mostly Taylor-led thing. Yeah,
I mean, usually people who play musical instruments, and especially in bands and stuff, it's like you should always obviously be evolving. Some people don't though, and they just kind of rest on this is their thing. And I love when you get something unexpected.
Yeah, it's important to pick up a new toy once in a while. And that can sort of bring back the intuitiveness, the immediacy of when you first learned guitar and started writing riffs and they're pouring out of you. Well, now you've played it for years and years, pick up something new, and that sort of spontaneity can come out again.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what I hear in this record in overall attitude.
Yeah, it's like a matter of like pushing, what does this button sound like? Oh, that's so cool. And then you know, then suddenly you have like a piece of a song to build around.
It feels like that was the energy overall.
Yeah.
Now we should mention the producer. I can't pronounce his last name. Justin something, who coincidentally was also in Nine Inch Nails for a couple of years playing bass, but not at the same time as Alon Rubin most of the time. I think maybe they met up. There was an axis. There was a nin axis where they did meet up at some point.
Okay.
So they were both members of Nine Inch Nails, and I think they both helped push this creativity within the group.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you wouldn't think of Nine Inch Nails as an influence on this album necessarily, but like that's what bringing in different musicians, like obviously they're not coming in and being like, we're going to make a Nine Inch Nails Paramore album.
Right.
Like it's like this is like my approach, and this is, you know, my energy, and like how do we feed off that?
And that guy, Justin something, he's also played with Beck. He's kind of like a session guy, producer guy, you know, kind of all around popping up in various different projects and can just really like bring some life to the project.
Right. Yeah.
So we should address Jeremy Davis, who is no longer in Paramore, and wouldn't you know it, there's drama with him too.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, it's fair to say he brings a lot to this record too. I really enjoy his bass playing, and I think that tour, you know, watching live videos of 2013, 2014, I'm like loving his, like, he's bringing this big low end to the energy to the band.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a shame. I wish he could still be in the band. I think if the band right now was Haley, Taylor, Zach, Jeremy, that would be like pretty incredible, but it's pretty incredible anyway. So
I mean,
what more can you ask for?
they wouldn't have written This Is Why. Like, that record wouldn't be that record.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and that's what I think, that between the three of them, there's like a certain chemistry that's leading to something really interesting. But yeah, it would be nice if they had even just like a good session bassist who was adding more of that type of, anyway, but but that album's perfect pretty much as it is. So we don't need to think about it.
I mean, This Is Why is still a 10 out of a 10, but I can still wish that Jeremy was bringing that deep low end attitude.
Yeah.
You know, I really think something like Ain't It Fun, Still Into You, these were great single choices, and they both have really infectious bass lines.
Yeah.
It kind of brings a bounciness to it.
Yeah, there's definitely like a different vibe. I mean, vibe is overused, but the vibe, you look at these two albums and there's so much that sort of connects them, and the vibe is not it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, but you can see that trajectory. And After Laughter is sort of this weird in-between that they had to do to get to where they are now.
Yeah.
I love talking about this band, and this video could probably go on a lot longer. Yeah. But we'll wrap it up there unless you have anything particular.
I mean, yeah, we barely talked about any of the songs. Not that we're going to do a track by track. They're just cool stuff. I mean, Daydreaming, I really related to.
Yeah.
At this point in our life.
And that's a cool, just has this like driving epicness, you know, it's like, you could hear it in like a movie trailer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like something you can relate to as a young person, and something you can relate to like at different crossroads in your life, which is what we're definitely at.
Yeah.
Same along with like Grow Up. If I have to, I'm going to leave you behind. Like, that's something that crops up again at different points in your life.
It's true.
When you know, you have childhood friends, you're in college, you move away, or like maybe all your friends start having kids and you don't, or like you have a kid and your friends don't, or whatever, you know, like sometimes you just have to leave people behind. Ankle Biters, I love the energy of that song.
Yeah.
Not your favorite, but.
Not my favorite.
It's not my favorite, but like I do like that shouty thing.
Yeah, it's like
cool.
It's like I liked that they were doing that, and I'd like to hear more of that from them. But that track in particular felt a little like try hard, like we're gonna be like punky. So make sure like, okay, you yell from over there, and it'll make it all like punky.
But it seems just like like they were having fun and playing with it, and true. I don't want, you know, it should never be too overly serious and pretentious. You know. And I'm sure a lot of people have a fun time dancing and singing along to that. Hate to See Your Heart Break, the verses, the cadence of the phrasing, the like lower.
Yeah, that's true.
The way she uses her voice, she really does that a lot now, and on her solo, especially the Flowers for Vases, that low thing she does is so gorgeous.
Yeah, and you know, we're a decade on now, so her voice has naturally gotten lower. Yeah, but you really start to hear like start to tap into that on Self-Titled.
Yeah. And then let's see, any other one of those Crazy Girls is a song like I would totally write. You know my songwriting. Yeah. I love to write like kind of tongue-in-cheek satire, ironic stuff. And so I was like, this is a song I would have written, in my 20s for sure. Sure.
It does sound like that.
It's sort of like throwing shade at yourself, kind of a thing.
That's true. Yeah.
The Future.
Yes.
I love that song. We had to talk about that. What do you think of The Future?
The Future?
The last one, and then it's got that long instrumental.
Yeah, the closer was good. I really liked it. I think that there's a lot of reasons why these deluxe editions in Spotify, and sometimes when the deluxe is the only option, like it's really to an album's detriment. Here's a perfect example where like most people click on the deluxe first, but if you just go with standard and get The Future as a closer, it's so much more effective,
right?
Because of it.
This album, like the track listing is laid out so well, and like you think of Fast in My Car versus The Future, and like these come from the same album.
But you can hear the arc. It
makes total sense.
Yeah.
And the way that The Future finishes the album is so incredible. And, I don't always like these long instrumental endings of an album. It can feel really unnecessary or like
self-indulgent.
Self-indulgent for sure. And it feels like so perfect the whole way through. It gives you this sort of like time to think about what you just listened to and sort of like process it almost.
Which is how the record feels overall about life. Like it really feels like a crossroads of life type album where it feels like a hopeful album, but a dark album. There's a lot going on, and I think they really made something that reflected what they were going through and what a lot of their fan base was going through because they've grown up with them. They're probably about the same age.
Right. Yeah. I did want to just briefly touch on basically what you just said, which is the themes of the album, which is growing up. It's experiencing a lot of things for the first time. And a lot of these songs are about experiencing new things, about leaving places, about relationships, about growing out of people.
Yeah.
And like being scared, but being confident, and like a lot of contradictions going on.
A lot of what we've been going through in the last year.
I know, which is why it's like this album kind of fits for like if you're like in your early 20s, but also like in your 30s, it feels like super relevant as well. Yeah,
it's true. Yeah. I want to listen to it right now.
I've convinced you to listen to it again.
Yeah, I love it. It's weird getting so into a band, but only liking the later couple of albums and really not connecting with the first few. It's kind of how I feel with Radiohead, where like I don't listen to Pablo Honey. I'm not that into the Bends. It feels like just a good rock album. And I don't really start to connect with them until their third record. And it's kind of a similar thing here. Yeah. But what do you think? Should we go back? Should we try one of the early ones? All We Know Is Falling, Riots, Brand New Eyes. There's something you think we should really, really give another shot? Let us know below. And thanks for watching. I want to know your top track on this album too.
Yeah, I feel like it might be really varied.
And I'd love to hear like some stories, This feels like something where like an album could really connect with you at a certain point of your life.
That one song that you like played over and over and like, this is about me.
When you were going through that thing, you remember the thing you were going through. Thing. Yeah, let us know what this album meant to you. And thanks for watching again. This is Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
Bye.